Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is Robbie1 Kenobi, and I'm bringing you my NXT TakeOver The End predictions. NXT TakeOver The End, of course, is this Wednesday night, live on the WWE Network. And as always, I'm looking forward to this show because I know that whether it's a good show, really good show, or great show, NXT always delivers with their TakeOver specials. Now, real quick, before I get to my predictions, I just want to talk a little bit about the title of this NXT TakeOver special, because originally this was called NXT TakeOver Revenge, but then it got changed to NXT TakeOver The End. And there's been debate about what the end actually refers to. You know, is this going to be the end of does the end refer to the end of the Samoa Joe Finn Bálor rivalry? Does the end refer to the end of the NXT TakeOver specials? I'm hoping it's not the case, because there are beliefs and rumors that with the brand split happening, that NXT, a few NXT names are going to be drafted to Raw and SmackDown, and then NXT itself as a brand, as a roster, won't really have many notable talents. So I remember Triple H sent out a tweet talking about NXT TakeOver The End, and then he says at the end of the tweet, where do we go from here? I honestly hope that NXT TakeOver The End isn't the last NXT TakeOver special we get. I hope that by saying the end, they're referring to the end of the Bálor and Joe feud. I mean, even if you look at the artwork for NXT TakeOver The End, there's like chain link. There's chain link all over the words "the end" to indicate the steel cage, which I thought was very unique. I personally hope, like I said, that the end refers to the end of the Joe Bálor feud. I don't want NXT. I don't want the end. I don't want the NXT TakeOver specials to be over with, because I love NXT TakeOver. I don't want NXT as a roster, as a brand, to be over with. Because like the Lexman's fear is that like the Lexman said, the fear is that NXT is going to have a depleted roster, and there's not going to be enough strong, credible talent to carry the brand as a whole. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with NXT TakeOver The End, or what happens with NXT in general after Wednesday. But I'm hoping that the end refers to the end of the Bálor and Joe feud, and not the end of the NXT TakeOver specials or NXT as a brand as a whole, because I love NXT. I mean, NXT is indeed the future, and it's its own brand. It's taking off big, and last year it had a stellar breakout year, with one of the best TakeOver specials, possibly the biggest TakeOver special ever, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn happening. So we'll see what happens. But with regards to TakeOver The End itself, I'm looking forward to the card. It's a stacked card. The 4 matches that have been confirmed on TV, they're stacked. And then we have the debut of Andrade, Cien, Almas, who wrestled in Mexico as La Sombra, or the Shadow in Spanish. He'll be taking on Ty Dillinger. That was announced on WWE.com. And I'm easily picking Andrade to win, because it's his debut, and they've hyped him up for a couple weeks. The vignettes have been really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. He's renowned in Mexico. He was a masked luchador. Now he wrestles unmasked. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he brings to the table. From what the Lexman said, because I just watched his predictions video earlier this morning, he said that Andrade brings, and I'm referring to the guy by his first name, not his last name, but still, Andrade brings a luchador style, and he also brings like a technical style. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does in NXT. I always look forward to these debuts. It's not like I jump on the bandwagon. I watch the newcomers perform once, twice, 3 times, and then I get my I get an impression, or I get my 2 cents and whatnot. But I am looking forward to seeing what he does. I love that NXT is bringing in all this great international independent talent to their roster. So for that match, I'm easily predicting Andrade Cien Almas to win his debut against Ty Dillinger. I would have, I love Ty Dillinger. I want Ty Dillinger to do well on the mid card. So I would have preferred that Andrade faced Elias Samson, because I'm not really interested in Samson that much. And if he loses, oh well. I mean, he's been losing matches left and right on TV lately. But what's interesting is the whole thing is that Dillinger wanted a chance to make an impact and make a statement on NXT TakeOver the end. So William Regal's granted him that opportunity against the newcomer Andrade, Cien, Almas. But in the end, I'm predicting that Andrade will win his NXT debut. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table here in NXT. Next, we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match. American Alpha defending against the Revival. This is the rematch, of course, from NXT TakeOver Dallas. That match was great. That was one hell of an opener, and I'm looking forward to the rematch. The rematch should be just as great. Maybe it'll be better, but I know this is going to be another great tag team match. Undoubtedly, American Alpha and the Revival are the two best teams on the NXT roster. Now, of course, you got Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, who are making a name for themselves. TM61, formerly known as the Mighty Don't Kneel, they just debuted on NXT. NXT has a stacked tag team division. You also got the Hype Bros. I don't know if they still team up, but still, you got Blake and Murphy, who, they're not the worst tag team, but I mean, still, when you look at this, you've got young, colorful tag teams on NXT. The build-up to this rematch has been good because Dash and Dawson have been determined as hell to get their NXT Tag Team Championships back. It pissed them off when they lost to American Alpha and NXT TakeOver Dallas, and I feel like that gave them more of a vicious streak, more of a vicious side to try and get back those NXT Tag Team Championships. So they're determined as hell to get back the championships, but what really surprised me was Wednesday night on NXT when they wrestled Gargano and Ciampa, and they lost. And by they, I'm referring to the Revival. I honestly didn't think the Revival was going to lose. You would think that going into this match, the Revival would win. They'd have a little bit of momentum on their side going into NXT TakeOver the end, but as it turns out, they lost to Gargano and Ciampa, which, like I said, I was surprised, but I didn't have a problem with it because I like Gargano and Ciampa, and I got a feeling they're going to be built up for the Tag Team Championships soon. Like, they'll probably get the shot at American Alpha next. So with that said, I don't see the Revival winning. I love that team. They're a great hard-hitting tag team, no flips, just fists, but I don't see them knocking off American Alpha in this rematch, I'm looking forward to the rematch, like I said, because I feel like it's going to be a great rematch. But in the end, I don't see the Revival regaining those titles. If they do, I'm going to be shocked because I really don't see why you would give them back to the Revival. They're most likely going to the main roster, Raw or SmackDown, during the draft. So yeah, my prediction is American Alpha to retain, and then we're going to most likely get Gargano and Ciampa versus American Alpha at TakeOver Brooklyn. If they still do take over Brooklyn, because, like I said, I don't know exactly what the end refers to. I've already said that I hope it refers to the end of the Bálor-Joe feud and not the TakeOver specials or NXT in general. So my prediction is American Alpha to retain the Tag Team Championships. Like I said, this should be a great match, but I just don't see Dash and Dawson regaining the NXT Tag Team Championships. But I like how they were built up in the build-up for this match. I like how they were determined to get back their NXT Tag Team Championships. And I also like the fact that that they're just determined as hell, like I said, to win those Tag Team Championships back. They didn't stop. They lost the belts, they won them back. So that's what I like about NXT, like championship continuity, if you want to call it that. But I predict American Alpha to retain. Next, we have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Austin Aries. This should be a hell of a match. It's had some interesting build because when Nakamura and Aries teamed up on NXT to battle Blake and Murphy, I saw signs that Aries would likely turn heel, and we'd probably get a match between him and Nakamura at a future TakeOver. And lo and behold, I go to the Lexman's Facebook page, and the next day after NXT TakeOver, or after NXT at one of the other tapings, they announced that it's going to be Nakamura and Aries at TakeOver at the end. And like I said, the build's been interesting because they both want a shot at the NXT Championship. you can pretty much consider this match and a #1 contenders match for the NXT Championship. It hasn't been officially announced as that, but that's pretty much what it is. But Austin Aries has a lot to win, has a lot to gain, and a lot to lose, so to speak, in this match. Because when you look at it, Nakamura comes in, and he's the freaking hottest thing on the NXT roster. You know, he's the hottest free agent signed by WWE. He arrives on NXT. He's freaking over with the crowd. I mean, he's a freaking rock star. I've said it multiple times. So Nakamura comes over. He's the big thing in NXT. Austin Aries, shortly after, or I think shortly before, I forgot exactly when Austin Aries debuted, but when Austin Aries debuted, there was buzz about him arriving, but he feels that Nakamura has taken from him all that hype and buzz. Like, he's been pushed to the side while everybody's just salivating over Nakamura. You know, Nakamura is king of strong style. He's one of the hottest agents, you know, one of the hottest talents on NXT, and he's made a reputation for himself in Japan. So I love the story that's going to go into this match. Nakamura looking to stake his claim at the NXT Championship, while Aries is also looking to do the same thing, but he's looking to prove that he is not someone you push to the side. You know, he's a double. He's the greatest man that ever lived. So there's going to be a lot on the line for both of these guys, particularly Austin Aries. So my prediction is, storyline-wise, prediction would go with Nakamura, because you know he's eventually going to get a shot at Joe for the NXT Championship. And I think I pretty much just gave away my prediction for the main event, the Steel Cage match, but I'll talk more about that in depth. You got to believe Nakamura's going for the NXT Championship next. But there is a chance that Austin Aries could win this match. And if he wins, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because it's not going to hurt Nakamura at all if he loses to Austin Aries. He's losing to a renowned indie talent. So my prediction is, because if I'm looking at it from a storyline standpoint, or if I'm looking at it like logically, I go with Nakamura because he's so freaking over. You know, NXT is going to build him up to be the next contender for the championship. But Austin Aries could win this match too. I could see Austin Aries winning, you know, because when you look at it storyline-wise, he needs a win like this to solidify him as one of the new top stars in NXT, or one of your future top stars in NXT. I'll put it to you that way. And then there's this consideration. There's something else to consider. Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode showed up at NXT TakeOver Dallas and created a lot of buzz. And if you guys remember, Bobby Roode and Austin Aries were a tag team called the Dirty Heels back in TNA. What if Bobby Roode gets involved in this match and he helps Austin Aries win over Nakamura? It could happen. You know, it could happen, because Bobby Roode is signed with NXT. He's yet to debut. What better way for him to debut than by interfering in this big match with his former partner going up against the King of Strong Style? He can make a statement by helping Austin beat Nakamura. Now, obviously, for Aries, he'd make a bigger statement if he beat Nakamura on his own, but there's a chance that Aries and Roode could reunite in NXT, and it could happen at NXT TakeOver the end. So my prediction is Shinsuke Nakamura to win, because like I said, I just got a feeling, you got to believe he's being bred for the NXT Championship next. But I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Aries wins. I'll be fine with that. And storyline-wise, it would be fitting for him to beat Shinsuke Nakamura, because he would be beating the guy that's generated so much buzz in just such a short amount of time. And think about it. Austin Aries doesn't want to be irrelevant on the NXT roster. So what's he got to do? He's got to beat the guy that is so freaking over that the crowd loves him. They're salivating over this guy. So my prediction is Nakamura to win, but I definitely could see Austin Aries winning this. I could see him beating Nakamura. If it happens, it wouldn't be a huge loss for Nakamura, because he's so over with the crowd. One loss, especially to a guy the caliber of Austin Aries, is not going to hurt him. If Austin Aries loses, he could be at a crossroads of some sort, you know, after NXT TakeOver the end. But don't count out the wild card in Bobby Roode. Where will Bobby Roode play a role in this match, if he even plays a role in this match? So I could see a Dirty Heels reunion at NXT TakeOver the end, but my prediction is Shinsuke Nakamura to win. Next, we have the NXT Women's Championship match. Asuka defending against Nia Jax. I like Nia Jax. She's still a little green. I like her, but I feel like she hasn't become the monster that we thought she was going to be when she arrived at NXT. And because of that, I just don't see NXT giving her the Women's Championship. So this is really easy for me to predict, guys. I'm picking Asuka to win. I do like what they've done with Nia Jax, building her up. I mean, she took out Bayley, and then at the contract signing, after she won the triple threat match to determine a women's #1 contender for the women's championship, Nia Jax came face to face with Asuka at the contract signing on Wednesday, and she said, you beat Bayley, but I broke Bayley, and she's playing it off like typical bad girl. She's big, she's bad. She will break Asuka if Asuka gets in her face again. Asuka, of course, ain't backing down. She will fight you, and if you're unlucky, she'll kill you. So I honestly don't see Nia Jax winning the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver the end, because I got a feeling that down the road at TakeOver Brooklyn, should it happen, they're gonna do Asuka Bayley 2, which they should do in either a 2 out of 3 falls match or a submission match, some kind of special stipulation match. I said 2 out of 3 falls in my NXT TakeOver Brooklyn fantasy card prediction video I did with Daniel Geyser, because, well, you can go back and watch that video, guys, and you'll see my full explanation for why I'd like to see that stipulation. But it would tell a very compelling story between these two incredible women's wrestlers. But getting back to Nia Jax versus Asuka, I just don't see Nia Jax winning. I see Asuka winning because Asuka is she's the hottest women's wrestler out there in terms of the momentum she has and everything since beating Bayley. She's just lethal in the ring. She'll kick your ass. Yeah, I don't see Nia Jax winning the championship. I see, like I said, Asuka retaining and going on to face Bayley again in later this year, later this summer, in a rematch, be it 2 out of 3 falls or a submission match or falls count anywhere like Daniel Geyser predicted. But I would prefer 2 out of 3 falls because it would tell a more compelling story. But my prediction is Asuka to retain the championship. She's going to most likely choke Nia Jax out or make her submit to the Asuka lock. I mean, if she knocks Nia Jax out, that's going to be awesome. But my prediction is Asuka to retain the championship. Now, I just saw this comment from my friend Cien Couponer, and this is very clever what he wrote. It's very unique. I didn't stop to think about this. He says, I can see Nia winning the belt and giving it to Eva Marie, like Andre the Giant winning and giving it to Ted DiBiase. Hey, great idea, Josh. It could happen. I don't see it happening, but that was probably the only way Eva Marie will ever win the NXT Women's Championship without her pinning the actual champion. Nia Jax could win the championship somewhere down the road and just give it to Eva. I can see it happening. Because if Eva Marie ever pinned an Asuka or a Bayley, the crowd would riot. And Eva Marie would have to get the hell out of Dodge to make it out there alive. Thank you for that comment, man. That was very clever. Very clever fantasy booking. I could see it happening. I just don't see it happening tonight or at NXT TakeOver the end. But thank you for that, man. And now, guys, let's get down to the main event. Let's bring this prediction video to an end with the main event, the big one. Steel cage match for the NXT Championship. First time ever in the history of NXT. The champion Samoa Joe defending against the challenger Finn Bálor. But not just regular Finn Bálor. I'm talking the demon Finn Bálor. You have to believe Bálor is going to unleash the demon inside that steel cage. The build-up to this, guys, I feel like has been the best of the build-up for any of the matches these guys have had at TakeOver. Joe beating Bálor at that house show in Lowell, Massachusetts, NXT Lowell, winning the championship unexpectedly, that really added fuel to the feud. Really added fuel to the fire because Bálor feels naked without that championship. He felt, you know, he's not depressed, but that was a huge blow to him, losing the championship. Out of all places, a house show. And he's possessed. He's obsessed with regaining that championship. And once again, that's championship continuity right there. I love it. And he is determined to get that title back at all costs. And to do it, he has to beat Samoa Joe. And the build-up, like I said, has been great. They had a brawl at one of the NXT house shows. I know somebody from the YWC went to that. I forgot if it was Generic Luchador or somebody, but they had a brawl where the whole freaking locker room had to come out and separate them. And then William Regal decided they were gonna settle their feud once and for all inside a steel cage. I honestly thought it was gonna be a last man standing match, but I'm totally fine with the steel cage because I got a feeling they are gonna tear the house down. They're gonna give us something special to remember in the steel cage match. It's going to be crazy, guys. You know, it's ultimately come down to this. Samoa Joe versus Finn Bálor inside a steel cage for the NXT Championship. You know, people have been debating about what kind of steel cage it's going to be. Is it going to be win by pinfall, submission, or escape? Or will there be a roof and you can only win by pinfall or submission? Who knows? But all I know is this match, I believe they're going to do something very special with this match. This is going to be one hell of a steel cage match. I mean, what I love about NXT is that they make their rematches seem very special. They're so significant. And it's not like on the main roster where you get the same match 100,000 times, you know, and it takes away the significance of any rematches. You know, I mean, to give the main roster credit, think about the John Cena, Kevin Owens matches. They only happened on pay-per-view. Yes, the rematch of Money in the Bank didn't have to happen, but they made it feel like a big fight, it had that big fight feel to it, so to speak. But here on NXT, they make their rematches so worth watching. They make you want to watch because anything can happen. Rematches happen at the right time, and they're much more significant than if they were on the main roster. And this, in my opinion, is going to be a crazy-ass match because it's a steel cage. And we need blood in this match. I know I will not forget how incensed the fans were when Joe got busted open and they kept having to stop the match because of the bleeding and everything. You know, that crowd in Dallas was incensed. They were pissed off. You guys remember the chants. I feel like a match like this needs blood. We need blood. We need broken bones. Well, not broken bones, but we just need bumps, bruises, blood. We need battered bodies. We need just a definitive conclusion to this feud between Joe and Bálor. And I feel like that's what we're going to get at NXT TakeOver the end. Now, prediction-wise, Samoa Joe to retain the championship, guys. Because, honestly, at this point, I don't see Bálor regaining that championship. He's overdue for a main roster debut, which will most likely happen soon, in time for SummerSlam. I don't see Bálor winning. Now, the question is, how is Joe going to beat Bálor? Because he's most likely fighting the Demon. Is he going to beat him by pinfall? Is he going to choke him out? Or is he going to batter him to the point where he just walks out of the cage and says, I'm done, I broke you? Is he going to beat him, dominate him, batter him to the point where Balor's a broken man and he can barely stand up? I don't know, because he's fighting the Demon. And I'm gonna say like the Lex Man said in his prediction video. They'll probably have Joe choke Bálor out so they protect Bálor and the Demon character in general. But the Demon has to eventually lose, you know. So it's gonna happen, and Joe is gonna most likely be the man to slay the Demon. And you know what's funny is TakeOver London, I predicted Samoa Joe to win because I felt it was his time. He didn't win. TakeOver Dallas, I predicted Joe was gonna win. I felt it was his time for sure. He didn't win. TakeOver at the end, I'm predicting that he will beat Joe. He will beat Bálor once and for all. You know, this is their third match at a TakeOver special. Their fourth overall because the Lowell, Massachusetts match, of course. Or I'm sure they've had other matches at house shows, but like the ones that are significant, that Lowell, Massachusetts match would be considered the third one, the sole third match in their trilogy or in their saga. So, yeah, I'm picking Samoa Joe because this time he has to win, in my opinion. I honestly, third time's the charm, so to speak. And third time was the charm at the house show. But in terms of my predictions, the third time will most likely be the charm. So I'm picking Samoa Joe to win. He's either going to pin Bálor, choke him out, or like I said, what I think would be cool is if he beats the hell out of Bálor, batters him to the point where Bálor can barely stand, can barely defend himself, like he's a broken man, and Joe just walks out of that cage, slams the door shut, and pretty much says, "Screw you, Finn. I beat you one last time. You're done. Get your ass out of my ring," or something like that. I know the Lex Man had a really cool idea about Joe hitting Bálor at like 3 muscle busters and then getting him in the coquina clutch and choking him out. That'd be cool to see. One thing is for sure, if it's a cage match, Bálor better do a coup de grace or some crazy ass dive off the cage, which will probably happen. It's just gonna be a really exciting steel cage match, guys. I'm very excited because I got a feeling Joe and Bálor are gonna give us something really special. They're gonna give us something we're gonna be talking about for a while. You know, the very first NXT steel cage match. It's for the NXT Championship. I couldn't think of a more fitting way for Bálor and Joe to conclude their rivalry than inside a steel cage. Last Man Standing would have been a great match too. But hey, steel cage. I mean, no interference, just those two guys in a ring with the steel surrounding them. It's going to be an all-out fight to the finish, a war of attrition. And I'm going to love it. I'm so looking forward to it. So like I said, guys, I'm predicting Samoa Joe to win. Third time is going to most likely be the charm with my predictions. But yeah, I'm predicting Samoa Joe to win, retain the championship, and then go on to most likely face Nakamura in the summer if they do take over Brooklyn, and have a kick-ass feud with Nakamura or Austin Aries or both Nakamura and Austin Aries. Hell, triple threat match in Brooklyn would be awesome. But as far as my prediction is concerned, like I said, guys, I'm going with Samoa Joe to retain because I got a feeling this is Bálor's song from NXT. And after that, we'll see him on the main roster. So that'll do it, guys, for my NXT TakeOver predictions. To sum up my predictions, I have Andrade, Cien, Almas to win his debut, American Alpha to retain their NXT Tag Team Championships, Nakamura to defeat Austin Aries, Asuka to retain her Women's Championship, and Samoa Joe to retain his NXT Championship. Real quick, I'm going to go to the comment section because TN Couponers left me a few comments. Thanks again, Josh. Throw it up for the club if you're still watching. Let's see what he said. He says, I think more titles should change hands more often. Ticket sales will go up. WWE needs to do this for on SmackDown. He's talking about titles changing at house shows. Yeah, if they enhance a feud significantly. You know what I'm saying? Like how they did with Joe and Bálor. Like that is the perfect fuel added to the fire of their feud. And I forgot to mention their face-off on Wednesday that was conducted with Corey Graves. That was an awesome segment, guys. And that further added fuel to this, to the fire and to this feud. I mean, Joe talking about how he seemed entitled, how he believed he was entitled to an NXT Championship match after he helped Bálor beat, win the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and how he felt betrayed that Bálor didn't back him up when Regal made the Battle Royal and didn't give Joe an opportunity, the immediate shot at the NXT Championship. And Balor's talking about, how he's different from Joe, and Joe's talking about like how he's been all over the world. He's won multiple championships, this and that. I mean, that was an awesome segment. That's the way you build up. That's the way you build up a championship match or a significant feud like that with a little segment like that. That was awesome. What they were talking about was great. you know, Bálor talking about how depressed he felt not having the championship. Joe talking about how he's gonna do whatever he's got to do to retain. How Bálor admitted that he barely survived their last two, you know, encounters, which is true. You know, Bálor barely survived both encounters, the one at London and the one at Dallas. So he has to literally survive the steel cage match in order to beat Joe. He has to survive whatever Joe is gonna throw at him. It's gonna be crazy, guys. It is gonna be crazy when this war goes down at inside the steel cage to take over the end. Cien also agrees both men need to bleed. He thinks Bálor will show up after SummerSlam on the main roster once Cena's done this, you know, beating the club single-handedly like the Super Cena he is. And he also thinks that Bálor will pass out from the Coquina Clutch or from blood. We'll see what happens. He's going to most likely get choked out by the Coquina Clutch. And that's it. You know, but if he took like 3 muscle busters and then the Coquina Clutch, holy hell, it'd be crazy. But that'll do it for my NXT TakeOver prediction. NXT TakeOver The End predictions video. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and shout out to Cien for watching the whole thing. Of course, like and share this video with your friends. Click that subscribe button to check out more of my content. Leave your comments down below. Tell me who your predictions are for NXT TakeOver The End. How excited are you for the show? Which match are you most looking forward to? Which match do you think has the potential to be match of the night? Because in my opinion, it's going to come down to either Nakamura versus Aries or Bálor and Joe in a steel cage. I believe Asuka and Nia Jax will have a good, solid women's match. It may not be the best women's match, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a solid match. And are you guys excited for La Sombra debuting in NXT? Andrade, Cien, Almas. So thanks guys for watching and listening. As always, I am Robbie1 Kenobi signing off. Have a good weekend. Enjoy NXT TakeOver The End, and I'll see y'all later. Stay classy.